Hello, and welcome to today's presentation of Who's Committing Code to Your App, brought to you by JFrog and DZone. Today, we're going to dive into lessons learned from real breaches so you can avoid the same outcome. My name is Katie Bavoso, and I will be your host today. I'm excited to be joined by Jonathan Arbel, developer advocate with JFrog. Jonathan has worked in this space for 9 years, so he has a wealth of experience he's going to share today. Please feel free to leave any comments you have in the chat feature or post any questions in the Q&A feature throughout today's presentation. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming Jonathan. Take it away.
Hello everyone and welcome to Who is Committing Code to Your App. I'm really excited to explore something that affects every developer every day, whether we realize it or not. Have you ever stopped to wonder who actually wrote that code in that open source library you just installed? Well, in this session, we are going to dig into why that question matters and how we can protect ourselves from hidden dangers. So, with no further ado, let's dive in. So, first thing first, what exactly is a supply chain attack? Well, in simple terms, it's when attackers target the software components you rely on, like libraries, frameworks, or external modules. So why they do that? Well, they prefer to do that rather than attacking your application or infrastructure, because if they can compromise one of those shared pieces, well, they can affect every project that uses it. Think of it like digital potluck. Everybody brings a dish, but you are trusting that no one has slipped in, let's say, a questionable ingredient. And when your application includes open source dependencies from hundreds or sometimes thousands of strangers, well, you are counting on each of them to follow best practices and keep their code clean. In the last few years, we've seen a massive uptick in these attacks. Precisely because they can hit many targets at once. It's easier for an hacker to slip malicious code into one popular library than to try and directly compromise thousands of separate apps. Alright, now let's get specific with a real case that actually happened, the XZ library exploit. What is the XZ? Well, the XZ library is a widely used compression tool that basically tons of people rely on it without a second thought. One day, a malicious code was quietly introduced by an individual known as Jia Tan. And this code contained hidden logic that exfiltrated or tampered with data once it was deployed in people's application. It actually created a backdoor that allowed the attacker to take control over your machine. So you might be wondering, how did Jia Tan manage to get to that code, right? Well, it turns out that the library's original maintainer, which named Lasse, was methodically human engineered. And in other words, certain friendly-looking contributors gradually earn his trust by submitting small bug fixes and engaging in community discussions. Now, over the time, they convinced him to grant maintainer rights to this Jia Tan. So now you have a brand new maintainer with direct commit, access to highly popular library. And guess what? This is exactly where malicious payload is reduced. Even more interesting is how it was discovered completely by accident. A developer named Andres Fround, maybe I'm mistaken with the pronunciation, who isn't even a dedicated security specialist, is a database developer at Microsoft, noticed some odd behavior and decided to dig deeper. Well, his curiosity led him to the malicious code, and by the time he raised the alarm, the compromised version was already in wide circulation. And what's the takeaway here? Well, attackers don't always storm in through the front door. They can slip in through indirect channels like volunteer contribution. And anyone can discover a vulnerability. Being curious and cautious often beats being an expert with your eye closed. And a single exploit in one library can undermine the security of thousands of applications. And it's a reminder that not everyone on the internet is who they seem. We love open source, but we also have to be watchful. Now, given this story, it's natural to ask, How on earth did we miss something so serious? First, there is a lot of blind trust in popular projects. If a library is widely adopted and has a large user base, many people assume it's automatically safe. And that assumption can be backfire if nobody is keeping a close eye on new contributors. Second, there was a lack of fundamental code reviews. Sure, people scan for style or functionality, but malicious snippets can hide in plain sight if nobody is, delightfully looking for them. And third, insufficient monitoring after the code was merged. Just because code has been accepted doesn't mean it can misbehave in production. Continuous monitoring could have flagged unusual traffic or data exfiltration sooner. Finally, it's the classic case of social engineering. Attackers can appear helpful and trustworthy, even if, friendly, until they have enough access to deal and to do a real damage. And that's exactly what happened with the Lasse and Jia Tan and the XZ library. And by the way, this is not an isolated incident. Think about the infamous event stream exploit or the left pad fiasco. They are all cautionary tales about how quickly things can go south if we are not vigilant. So how do we actually protect ourselves from incidents like this? Let's talk about some best practices. So, number 1, maintain a software bill of materials, also known as SBOMs. It will keep track of everything you have installed, including versions and all around the components that used in your application. And tools like JFrog X-Ray, and there are plenty of others, can give you alerts the moment a known vulnerability appears in one of your dependencies. Of course, I recommend to check our solution for security. Number 2, automated scanning and testing. Use static application security testing, also named as SAST. So check every incoming pull request to catch suspicious or risky patterns early. And also run a regular dependency check to see if any included package is flagged as malicious. Number 3, pin and lock. And when I'm saying pin and lock, I mean pin and lock your versions. And instead of allowing wildcard versions, be explicit. That way, if 1.2.3 is safe, you won't accidentally upgrade to 1.2.4 because it might be malicious. Number 4, continuous monitoring. Don't assume once you merge everything is golden forever. Keep tabs on runtime logs, network connections, and unusual spikes in behavior. Number 5, least privilege principle. Only give libraries the permission they truly need. If a package only has to read data, restrict its ability to write or modify. That way, if it's compromised, the damage is limited. Number 6, cultivate a security mindset. It's about the company culture. Everyone on the team should feel comfortable questioning new contributors and dependencies. So celebrate that curiosity rather than seeing it as a paranoia. As I like to say, we are all a bit lazy by nature, especially if something just works. But a little paranoia can save a lot of headache down the line. Now, let's narrow it down to what you can start doing the moment this webinar ends. So first of all, use trusted repositories. Stick to an official package manager or well-known community platforms that actively scans for malware. It's not a guarantee, but it's a solid layer of defense. The second point is enable MFA and also strong auth for maintainers. So make sure that anyone with commit rights to critical project use multi-factor authentication, and that way an attacker can't just, steal a password and waltz in. Number 3, review maintainers' activity and history. So keep an eye on who's merging code. If your lead maintainer vanishes and a random new person, just appears and takes over, ask questions. Don't just trust that handover blindly. Number 4, integrate security tools in your CI/CD. So automated and scanning and even container image checks can stop malicious code in its tracks. If something seems off, block that merge until it's investigated. Number 5, stay informed. Follow CVE databases or sign up for security advisories. Keep learning from real-world exploits so you know what to watch out for. Here's a quick test you can do with your team. Ask them to name every single external dependency in your application. If they can't, it's time to create that SBOM and tighten the process. So, as you can see, the software supply chain is exposed to a variety of threats at every stage. From malicious packages in the curation phase to vulnerabilities like zero-day during creation, secret theft during promotion, and even direct attacks on production. Now, every step introduced potential risks that these risks can compromise the security and integrity of your software. So at JFrog, we understand these challenges, and that's why we've built a comprehensive platform that's designed to tackle all of these threats across the entire life cycle of your software. From curating your dependencies to distributing and running software in production. Now, I'd like to dive deeper into all of the capabilities our platform offers, but since we are short on time, today we'll focus on demonstrating two key features that address these risks right from the start: JFrog Catalog and JFrog Curation. And let's start with Catalog. Think of it as the Wikipedia of open source, but specifically tailored for developers. It provides valuable insights about packages such as their popularity, trends, usage across ecosystem, known vulnerabilities, even if these vulnerabilities are exploited, and license type, and even metadata like community engagement and more. Now, this information empowers your team to make more informed decisions when choosing dependencies. Now next, let's talk about JFrog Curation, and this feature is essentially your organization's firewall for managing dependencies. With Curation, you can create and enforce policies that align with your organization's security and also with your organization compliance needs. For example, you can block packages with vulnerabilities above a certain severity level, restrict dependencies based on license types, such as disallowing GPL license in your projects. You can also mark a package as immature and block it if it's less than, let's say, 10 days old. You choose. Or you can apply specific labels, like marking a package as a trusted or unverified, and use those labels to allow or restrict usage in your pipelines. Now, by combining these tools, Catalog for knowledge and Curation for enforcement, you not only prevent bad actors or poor choices from entering your supply chain, but you also create a proactive layer of governance and control that aligns with your organization's goal. So we talked enough. Now let's see how these features work in practice. I'll show you how the catalog gives you rich data about open source libraries and how curations enable you to set policies and to ensure only the best dependencies make it into your projects. So with no further ado, let's jump right into our demo. Okay, so here we are on the JFrog platform, and we said that we will focus on the catalog and the curation. So this is the main page, the packages page of JFrog. So I can see all packages my company is using or my project is using. It depends on which view I'm standing. Let's move directly to the package catalog. This is the curation. This is the package catalog, and let's see what we can get there. Okay, so once I'm in, this is the main page of the catalog. It looks like a search engine or something like that, and I can start searching my packages. So here are some recent packages that I searched, but of course you can search for any package, for example, Express, and then it will go and it found several packages that has the name Express, one related to NuGet, one to NPM, and I think you got the idea around this. And again, you can search PyPI packages and more. But let's dive into the log4j package, and we see that we get some information. So currently, the version is 2.24.3, and it was published on December 10th. And I can, of course, move and search other versions. But let's see what we have here. So we have this, if it has any vulnerabilities, I can check whether I know about some dependencies that it has, or get the OpenSSF rank. So I know that this one is a very, it's a maintainable package. And I can go in and get the license of this package. But as we can see here, yeah, this package is approved for downloading, and this is the latest one. I can compare with other packages or with other versions of the specific package. And overall, I get all the necessary information to get the idea if I want to use this package or not. I also get some install instructions. But let's go and see all versions, and let's scroll down a bit. So we will get these older versions. Let's take this one, for example. And yeah, we see several interesting stuff. First of all, we see that this one is approved for downloading. It means that if someone in my organization will want to use specifically this version, it will be able to do that, and it will also be able to get this version into my application in case that my build is taking and resolving the dependencies via the JFrog platform. Now, of course, with that, I know that I need to set some policies that will block this one, and we will get into this. And I also see that it has some vulnerabilities. And not only that, I also get the EPSS percentile, which basically tells me the rank of the likelihood of if it's exploitable. So for example, let's get into this critical one. So I get all this information, and here the EPSS, the exploit prediction scoring, means that it's very likely to be exploited if I will use this package. So we have all this information. We also give you the JFrog research information here. So it's an enhanced information coming directly from our research team. Now, not only that, we also see why it's like why JFrog decide it's critical and what's like coming in our favor. But overall, it's a very dangerous package, and this one, I mean, this specific version is very dangerous because it has the log4shell, notorious log4shell, and I can even dive deeper and click on this view more. That will give me more information about the specific CVE. So I get all this information about this CVE. I get the CWE. I get the advisories that brought this information in, and more and more. I can also see which package is affected by this. So I see that it's not only log4j, but log4j core. Possibly one contains the other, but yet it gives me all the affected packages. And again, I get all information relevant for this package and this CVE, and I get the reference where I got all this information and where we can get more information. So you got the idea. So if we go back here, okay, so we understand this one is problematic one, and then I can compare, and I can whether search for the specific package or search for another package. So let's go and search for this specific log4j. Oops, I got extra log4j. All right, and let's take the latest version. So of course we see yeah, it has the same number of version, of course, because it's the same package. And I can see that this one is without any vulnerabilities. So of course I will use this one. And basically it's comparison between packages. So you get the idea. So we saw that currently I'm able of downloading this log4j. But if we'll go to the curation page, it's right here. So we will see, this is the overview of my curation policies. And I can show by all organization, like seeing all the repositories or choose some specific repositories. So we see that my coverage is 80% of my repositories, my curated repositories are covered by malicious packages. It means it will stop malicious package downloading. And also 40% of my repositories are curated for security, and so on and so on. And if we go to this audit page, we can see some information. So we can see that I have some blocked policy. Clicking on it will give me all the information. It says that a person named Jonathan, joking, yeah, it's me, request a package. We can see it live. So as you can see here, the time that it was requested. But if I'll go and try to again install this package, it will result with 403. We can also see that it might be related to security policy. Yes, of course. And now let me try to refresh. And we'll see now that we have the second attempt that I try to fetch this package. Of course, I can open this package, but if we'll go to the catalog, for example, and I'll go specifically to Axios and to version 1.5.1. So we also get information, but it's interesting information. It tells me that it partial download blocked. It means that from the repository I try to download, yeah, it curated because that it's blocked. But there are some repositories, some remote repositories that are not curated. And if someone will try to download from there, he will be able to do that. Let's fix it. So I'll go to my curation policy. And the specific policy that stopped this package to get in is this one. So let's see if I can select the other repositories. And it go all enable repositories. Yeah, so it means that it affecting all repositories, but the reason I cannot enforce the other repositories is because I need to go under the curation settings to curated repositories. And here I need to enable this one. That's all. Once done, I will now go back to the catalog and let's try again. See what's going on with this specific version. So it was 1.5.1. Okay, so now we see that the download is blocked. It means that my organization is safe of getting this package. But for example, let's say that I want to block all Axios packages. For some reason, Axios is a great package, nothing personal, it's just for the example. So what I can do is, for example, now we see that this one is approved for downloading, but let's set the label. Let's call it unverified. Let's create this one. Unverified packages. Yeah, let's fix this typo. All right. Now I can apply this label to this specific version or all versions, mean past, current, and future one that will come. And let's save this unverified. Now, as we can see here, I can download 1.7.9 easily, but let's now go to the curation policies and let's create new policy. Let's call it block unverified. Whatever. Of course, all enable repositories. Now here I'll type label. Now, before I do that, I want to show you you get a pre-policy out of the box ready. So you can, for example, search for malicious packages. It will automatically block all malicious. You can also add some immature versions. So it means that, as you can see here, I can block every version which is, let's say, created less than 2 days ago. So it means that if it's version that just was released today, I will not be able to download this version. And also I can click on this create condition And here I can go and search for label. And as you can see here, this is a policy that actually blocking every package that has a specific label. So let's choose this one. Let's call it banned labels list. And here I can add all the labels. So in this case, I'll choose unverified, and let's save the condition. Now I can move on. Waiver means I can add a specific waiver for a version or a package. So it means that if a package has a label or a specific label or a specific name and version, it will skip the block and it will give it a waiver and will let it in. In this case, I'll skip it. And we have option. We can block or we can dry run. Means that if I just implemented the feature, I can choose to not block, but only notifying me. So I can align with my organization and within time active this one to block after I know I don't block any process of any developers in my organization. So on the right side, we can see the curation policy details. So we can see that select ban labels, all unverified labels will be banned basically, and the action that will be taken is block. Again, we can dry run, we can block it, and I can also notify by email. Let's go next. Let's save the policy. Now let's go back to our catalog. And again, now let's go to Axios. Although we know it was supposed to work, we see that now it's blocked. Although I'm on the latest version, it has no vulnerabilities, but it's blocked. Why it's blocked? Because it has this label. Of course, once I will remove this label, for example, let's remove for this 1.7.7, I am the CISO, I have the permission to remove labels. I check the package, I know that everything is good, I'll remove this one. Yes, remove it. And now we see that it's approved for downloading and we will be able to download it. Just again, as an example, let's remove this one as well. Cool. Again, let's add this unverified package again, this version, and we see that it's blocked. Now let's try to install it. So let's do npm install Axios, this version. And we see that we can't download it, of course, because it's blocked. Now let's remove this unverified. Easy, simple as that. And now let's try again. Yeah, and we see that this package added and we can immediately start working with it. Okay, so that was the demo about catalog and curation. I hope you enjoyed this one. And I think now it's time to wrap everything. So we have covered a lot, from chilling tale of the exe library exploit to a hands-on demo of JFrog's tool to keep your dependencies secure. And if you ask what are my key takeaways, so always know which libraries you are using and who maintains them. You need to be proactive, implement scans, continuous monitoring, and strict policies. Make security part of your culture. And if something feels off, investigate it, just like Andres Front from Microsoft did. And tools like JFrog Catalog and Curation can automate much of the heavy lifting. So you can focus on building great software rather than worrying about hidden threats. Thank you so much for watching, and always remember, your application is only as secure as its weakest link. So always ask, who's really committing code to my app? Stay curious, stay safe, and keep coding securely. This is Jonathan from JFrog. Peace out.
We hope you found this session valuable and informative. Thank you for joining us. If you're interested in learning more, you can sign up for your own free trial at the link on your screen. Once again, I'm Katie Bavoso, and thank you so much for joining this webinar brought to you by JFrog and DZone. Have a great day.